shower right inside the cell.
Okay.
So, I didn't need to go out for a shower. Recreation was a joke. They put you in a cage. It's like a dog cage. Literally, you can't see.
Is it outdoors or it's
outdoors, so you're getting
okay.
some fresh air, right?
Okay.
But you got cinder blocks all the way around. And the only thing you could do is look up. And everything's barbed wired and caged.
It's another hole. It's just got no roof on it, basically.
You stretch your legs. You could do, walk around in a circle. Maybe if you walk around 100 times, it's a mile, right? But they give you a ball to play with, a deflated basketball.
Okay.
And, you're like a dog.
Yeah, basically.
We treat our animals better, to be honest with you.
Thank goodness for that, right?
Yeah, bear gets, treated like a king, compared to this. So what I used to do is just look up straight, get some kind of sunlight,
right?
Because when you're going back in, that's it. Nothing changes. The lights never go off. You can't shut the lights.
Wow.
So now you're wrapping something around your head so you could
sleep.
You go sleep.
Get a little rest, if there's such a thing.
Some holes were better than the others, but at the end of the day, it's a terrible existence. You're not living, you're existing. So a lot of guys that are in the hole, even till today, 5 years, 10 years in the hole. Wow. You can't come out normal.
It's impossible.
For the first 7 years, I was about 3 years total. And this last beef that I was in,
right?
When I was in jail, the COVID broke out.
Right.
Everybody got locked down. So I was locked down for about 15 months. Another hole. I'm saying, look at this.
Yeah.
But this one wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as usual because we started getting the tablets in the hole. The tablets, they started going electronic with FaceTime visits, and you could
because of COVID, and you had to introduce something, right?
Well, they would get tablets, and tablets they wouldn't have any. How can I say? They had Wi-Fi, but you couldn't do anything. Like you had to pay for it. Like you took it out of the commissary and you bought credits, and you could watch a movie or you could watch things on the tablet.
Okay.
But you didn't get a tablet designated just to you. You had to pass it around. The phone came to you, so they would bring the phone over when you had to make a call. It's a call this phone. So because of technology and the years that went by, because it was 30 years later, I went back to jail. Technology changed a lot of things. Instead of you going out to go make a phone call, right, or them bringing in a phone and a regular, landline that had to stick in the wall. Now they just give you a call-less phone. Right. It didn't upgrade much, but you can see technology made it easier. Later on, when I started going to therapy and started talking to a lot of psychologists and stuff like that, I would tell them what I did when I was in solitary. And I say, yeah, this is a proven science-backed technique that, and I forget what group was in captivity, and they learned how to do this method, which was what kept their sanity, was this very thing that Joe Beck was doing.
Joe Beck taught you.
That's pretty
he was
doing on his own.
Wow.
He probably didn't know that,
No, he was ahead of his time.
That's one guy. Joe Beck was always in a suit and tie every day. Fedora.
Class act.
Fedora hat. Very rarely I seen him without a tie. He was the last true old school gangster. I mean, didn't matter if it was you met him for breakfast, you met him for lunch, you met him for dinner, whatever time you met him, the guy was in a shirt and tie. I never forget, in the wintertime, top coats, fedora hats. The true gangster you see in the 50s, like they depict the movies, right? That was him.
Well, a dying breed of animal back then.
Yeah, he was the last of the dinosaurs. So as far as Prince Street was concerned, when you thought of Prince Street, you thought of Joe Beck. You thought of the Becky brothers. You thought of
Raffy.
Joe Beck, Charlie Brody. I don't know where the nickname Brody came in, but his brother, who was like his sidekick, Charles Dipalermo, they called Charlie Brody.
Yep.
Then you had Petey Beck.
Yep.
And you had Tony Balls, Tony Dipalermo. So I think there was 1, 2, 4 brothers, maybe 5 that I didn't know about. I might be missing one. But all of them were members of the Lucchese Crime Family. So Joe Beck, Charlie Brody, and Petey Beck. For some reason, I don't know why Tony Balls wasn't a member, or maybe he was due to be a member, but he wasn't straightened out. If you see Petey Beck was another one, suit and tie every day. If you've seen Tony Balls, he was at least a sport jacket, fedora hats, always fedora hats. I mean, they were the old. You watch the Godfather movies.
Yep.
That they look like they were
That
from an
type of
era.
gangster, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they never evolved. They stood like in that timepiece. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there was Rafi. Rafi Como was his sister married Charlie Brody.
Okay.
So he became an in-law of the Dipalermos, you would say,
Yeah.
right? But Rafi made his own way. Rafi didn't go off the back of the Becky brothers. Rafi made his own path. Rafi years ago was involved in I don't know, you could read about it. There's an article, some kind of stick up where his friend got killed right in front of him.
Yeah, that's where the cops gave him a pistol whipping, is what that article talked about. And
Oh, you got it?
you should have a photo of that somewhere. Yeah, I think when he got, that was back in the day, but when he got arrested, they talked about that. There's that photo.
Yeah, there it is.
So, yeah, a cop got wounded. One of his buddies got shot. I think the article talked about that. And the cops back then, you know, they had no. It didn't matter. They pistol whipped everybody back in that day.
Yeah, so they killed the guy. It killed one of his friends right in front of him.
Yeah.
The guy that's pinched with him, that Joe Benanti, he went on to be a main guy with the Bonanno family on the Spiro. Spiro was on Bath Avenue in Brooklyn. But yeah, that's Rafi when he was in his skinny days.
Yeah, it looks like they gave him a pretty good beating, both of them.
Yeah, they busted him up pretty good.
But again, back then, that's what the police did.
Yeah.
They didn't like you, especially, you know, depending on what nationality you were. And if you were Italian, you got yourself a good beating every time.
So back then, that was Rafi's claim to fame. Rafi's claim to fame was he was on that heist, he took a beating from the cops. His friend got killed in front of him.
Did a prison sentence.
He did a bid, and he kept his mouth shut. Come home. I don't know how he inherited the Ray's Pizza, you know, but he was the original Ray. The Rays that you see on Prince Street today. There it is.
There it is, yep.
My old hangout.
Yep. Now, that was right next to the social club,
I spent a lot of time in that pizzeria. What?
The social club was right next door to it, wasn't it? Or a door or two away?
Across the street.
Across the street.
Becky's had a place there.
Yeah.
So Ray's was on Prince between Spring and Elizabeth. Now, if you go catty corner, if you went west of that, was the school where I went to, St. Patrick's Old Cathedral.
St. Patrick's Cathedral, yeah.
And the church is there. Everything's like right in that area. Yeah, so he started out first at the pizzeria. I remember back then, it was just a pizzeria. The next door to it, he made it into a restaurant.
All right.
He got his nephew, Anthony was his nephew.
Okay.
And he had his sister that he owned the building, Rafi.
Yep.
And if you look in between the, well, you could get to it, but in the back of the restaurant and the back of the pizzeria, you could walk back into the building. There's a tenement building on top. Maybe it was like 3, 4, 5 stories, right? And on the first ground floor, he kept an apartment there for his sister, and he renovated it really nice. You know, so he would hang out there. We would go back there and hang out a lot, you know. But, yeah, Ray's Pizza.
Ray's Pizza. That's the original Ray's. Now, there's
So
a lot of different
How many
names,
Ray's pizzas have there been in New York? Because the last time I was in New York, I did a little stint in 2017 working on some shows out there. And there must have been 15 Ray's pizzas.
They changed it. He tried, I think, according to that article anyway, there was some, like, they tried to sue a couple times, and they told him if he, you know, he was going to, I don't know exactly what they did, but yeah, there's famous Ray's, then there was Ray Barbie, there was
Ray
Not
Barry.
Ray's. They even had a pizzeria called Not Ray's.
Not Ray's. Yeah. I saw that.
I mean,
one.
everybody used it. I mean, even out here in Arizona, there's a bunch of Ray's pizzerias, which is probably who we ordered from today. But, you know, that there's just so much information on that Ray's Pizza. But, you know, the store was more, it wasn't about mozzarella and sauce, realistically, back in the day when you knew them. I mean, you learned a lot from those guys, I'm sure, but that's not what the store was famous for. It wasn't pizza. I mean, yes, they became famous because of their pizza. He used, according to this, he used his Nona's recipes, and he used his mom's recipes for sauces and things like that. The point was that that's not all they did out of the pizzeria, right, Frank? I'm putting you on the spot, so give us the what's what on that.
No, that joint wasn't his.
That's
not Ray's.
not
This is
Ray's.
the
That's
not Ray's.
This is just
If it's on
so much
Fulton.
nonsense took place with the Ray's name.
You know, I'll be honest
And
with
none
you.
of them were named Ray. Technically, Rafi, I guess you could say, is Ray.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know if everybody. You guys know why I flipped.
Yes.
I don't know if the rest of the people out there know why I flipped. Some people are going to say, "Yeah, there's no excuse. There's no this, no that."
Right.
Bullshit. Okay. When my cousin came up and told me it was a hit on my father, right? I took that very seriously.
And well, you should.
I'm not taking a
The
shot.
life you're living, you have to take that serious.
No.
What choice do you have?
My family comes before the Lucchese family,
Absolutely.
as yours should, as Giantonio, as anybody.
Anyone.
Okay.
You would all do the same in that position.
Do I think Rafi was involved in the plot to kill my father? I don't think he was the cause of it, or the one who wanted, who would
Call
start
that
it,
shot.
call
Yeah,
that
he,
shot.
He wasn't calling that shot.
Would he got put in a position to set my father up? Would he have did it? It's all speculation. Because my father would, if Rafi called him, he would go.
Because he was close.
Well,
With some of those guys, wasn't he?
Yeah,
For a
sure.
minute?
That was part of his crew. But that's speculation,
Of course.
So you can't speculate. He was one of the guys, Rafi, that when I was going through my debriefing,
Mm-hmm.
when you get into a cooperation agreement with the government, you can't pick and choose who you want to talk about. And you got to talk about the crimes you did and who you did it with. And they know the answer before they ask you the question.
You have to give them accurate information because they already have all of this documented.
Well, this is one of those instances where I'm sitting down. DEA comes in. And the DEA, they had an agent there. He was an Italian guy, too. He just went the other way.
Mhm.
We went one way, he went the other way. And he's asking me questions about Rafi. If I ever had any heroin dealings with him and, and this and that and all that other stuff. And here I am going, I really don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, you don't remember? Well, you don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at me and he goes, you're under an agreement and everything else, but really I wasn't in an agreement with them. I was in an agreement with the FBI. He's okay. He leaves, right? They come back a week later with tapes. They go, maybe this will jog your memory.
Oh, boy.
And they start playing the tapes.
Okay.
And who's on the tape? Me and Rafi. What are we talking about? Heroin. Right? And, I'm sitting there and I just got my head down. They see that I was very uncomfortable. And they're like, look, Frank, we understand you were very close to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
We understand this is tough for you to do. But you got to understand also, we have a job to do. We got you dead to right.
Mm-hmm.
We got him dead to right. Now we could do this, we could do this the easy way. We could do this the hard way, I said, well, you know what? There's a lot of information on one day. I need time to digest this, you know?
Makes sense.
Take your time, go back to the unit. A week later, I come down. I'm like, look, you got what you got. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I pled guilty to it.